This is Adventures in Vinylland, where we take a look at record releases of the past, the present, and maybe even the future. I'm your host, Randy, and when I say the words new wave, what decade do you think of? If you said the 80s, that's a good answer, but you'd be surprised how many people associate it with the late 70s, too. Younger people are often unaware that new wave came in two, well, waves. The second one is the one most people think of, when MTV took off. However, there was a first wave that started in the late 70s. Several bands grew bored with standard punk and started experimenting around with synthesizers and playing around with rhythms from world music, reggae, funk, and 1950s style rock. Today's album is an example of that movement. This is my review of Parallel Lines by Blondie. For the unfamiliar, Blondie was a band that got their start in 1974. Members included guitarist Chris Stein, drummer Clem Burke, bassist Nigel Harrison, keyboardist Jimmy Destry, and backing guitarist Frank Infante. However, most people associate Blondie with Deborah Harry, the vocalist who became a celebrity a little late in her life. A blonde bombshell who worked as a Playboy bunny, singer, actress, and waitress, she caught Chris Stein's eye when he was looking to form a band that was in the same vein as the acts he saw playing at the Mercer Arts Center in New York City. Over time, they accumulated the additional members. They were one of the many punk acts that played at CBGB's, and alongside the Talking Heads, they spearheaded the new wave movement. Their first two albums were well liked, but lacked commercial appeal. Their second album, Plastic Letters, underperformed, and Chrysalis Records wanted their sound to improve. They weren't necessarily a bad band, but they needed some fine-tuning to reach their full potential. It was an encounter with producer Mike Chapman that changed everything. The band and the label clicked well with him, with the exception of Harry. The label arranged for Blondie's third album to be recorded in 1978. The band was really tired at this point, as they had just finished touring and promoting an album they released earlier the same year. When they headed into the record plant in New York City, Chapman was given the mission of helping the band improve. This mission was going to be a difficult one, as there was animosity between band members. Aside from Stein and Harry, who were dating, they all hated each other. What really made recording stressful was Chapman's perfectionism. He spent hours a day getting the band to perfect their sound. Harrison in particular was critical of Chapman. Chapman did his best to remain gentle with Harry, as he felt she was, quote, moody. After one rough recording session, she locked herself in the bathroom, sobbing for hours. In many cases, songs were not completed in time for vocal takes, pushing Chapman over the edge. He used recording methods that the band was not familiar with. The album wrapped up recording in 6 weeks, even though the label originally gave them 6 months. Parallel Lines was released in September 1978 to critical acclaim and commercial success. To date, it's sold over 20 million copies and spawned 2 hit singles, Heart of Glass and One Way or Another. It turned Blondie into superstars. It's cited as one of the greatest albums of all time. The cover shows Debbie Harry standing in a mighty pose in the middle of the other 5 men. The black and white lines give you the feel of a 1950s diner, which is fitting seeing as a lot of the music takes influences from 1950s music. It's one of the many iconic new wave album covers. Now let's throw this awesome album on the turntable and see how it's aged, shall we? The album starts with Hanging on the Telephone, a cover of a Jack Lee song. The fast rhythm reels you right in, as Debbie sings in desperation for a man she's drooling over. It's a booty call song, but this was written back in the day when booty call songs were more catchy and actually fun. Oh, why can't we talk again? Oh, why can't we talk again? Oh, why can't we talk again? Hanging on the telephone. The tight musicianship is a huge change-up from their previous efforts. It's an epic way to start off the album. Next we get one of the two singles off of the album, One Way or Another. This catchy, sneaking song is the ultimate hunter and prey theme. Harry sounds menacing, clashing with the upbeat rhythm.
One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you one way or another. I'm gonna win you. I'm gonna get you.
One thing I didn't notice until someone pointed it out to me is that in the chorus, you can hear a low, pitch-altered version of the vocals that make it sound horrifying.
I will drive past your house, and if the lights are all down, I'll see who's around.
The song was written after experiences Harry had with a few stalkers. In a 2011 interview, she hinted it might have been written about her almost getting kidnapped by Ted Bundy. The validity of this claim has been challenged, though. One thing's for certain, this song leaves chills down your spine. Picture This was written about Harry's relationship with Chris Stein. We hear about her fantasies of sharing a home with him.
All I want is a room with a view, a sight worth seeing, a vision of you. All I want is a room with a view.
She sells it here, not with just her confident lyrics, but her gorgeous, smooth vocals.
Picture this freezing cold weather. You got clouds on your lids and it's me on the skids. If it weren't for your job at the garage, if you could only.
It makes you want to grab your lover and sweep them off their feet. Fade Away and Radiate is my second favorite song off of the album. We start with Harry singing with minimal instrumentation backing.
Ooh, baby, I hear how you spend nighttime, wrapped like candy in a blue neon glow.
Her sultry voice tells of falling asleep in front of a TV with James Dean movies serenading her.
Fade away, radiate. Fade away and radiate.
The cool, trippy effects build, especially with Stein's impressive guitar lines and Harrison's equally impressive bass lines. Harry's vocals also intensify as she moans the early passing of Dean.
Loving becomes my dream. My dream is on.
It's a song that some people complain about on the album, but I think it's one of the best. Pretty Baby gives us more 50s-esque sounds. Harry sings of being in love with someone who is significantly younger than her.
Pretty baby, you look so heavenly. A neon nebula from under the sun.
Some people think it was written about Stein, but others also say it may have been written about Brooke Shields, as she starred in a movie of the same name earlier that year. If this is the case, then that makes this song a little creepy. Seeing as Shields was 12 at the time, it's a great song nonetheless. I Know But I Don't Know is a creepy, confused song. The lyrics contradict themselves. It's hard to tell what it's about. The Funhouse synth gives the track character. Stein's guitar matches perfectly alongside this backdrop. Perhaps the lyrics weren't that important as it's much more musically driven. 1159 starts off side 2 with a hopeful song. It uses illusions of an impending apocalypse and a hurried rhythm to make it sound like there's not much time left.
Leaning in your corner like a candidate for wax. Sidewalk
This fits with the time period. 1978 was smack in the middle of the Cold War. Harry sings in a smooth, confident delivery, showing time doesn't matter to her.
Today could be the end of me. It's 11:59, and I want to stay alive.
She is living life to the fullest and wants her lover to join her. And once I actually read into its meaning, it made me a little teary-eyed. Life's been rough for me lately, and these were the words that I needed to hear. It easily became my favorite song on the album. Will Anything Happen continues the philosophical pondering. The choppy guitar rhythm gives us the image of a 1960s surfer rock song.
I always liked where you played guitar. I always knew that someday you'd go far.
It symbolizes the insecurity of Harry's lyrics, which speak of fearing losing a lover who had just become famous.
Will it come true? Will anything happen? Will I see you again?
It's a short, simple, and great song. Sunday Girl comes to us in an English version on this album. However, a lot of people are more familiar with a high-charting French version. It features a bright, jumpy melody from Harry.
I know a girl from a lonely street, cold as ice cream, still as sweet. Dry your eyes, Sunday girl.
The song was composed by Stein after they discovered that Harry's cat had ran away while they were away on tour.
Hurry up and wait. I stay away all weekend, still I wait. I got the blues. Please come see what your loving means to me.
It's a touching tribute to an animal that you don't see very often in music. Now it's time for the song everybody knows off of this album, Heart of Glass. What can be said about this song that hasn't already been said a million times? The disco rhythm combined with the tight musicianship blurred the line between dance music and the elaborate instrumental rock that competed with it.
Was I love and it was a gas? Soon turned out, had a heart of glass. Seemed like the real thing, all too far. Don't you mistrust, love's gone behind.
It angered their punk fans to no end. But holy shit did it pay off. This is an amazing song. The lyrics don't need much analysis. They talk in simple terms about the complexity of love and relationships.
In between, what I find is pleasing and I'm feeling fine. Love is so confusing, there's no peace of mind. If I fear I'm losing you, it's just no good. You're cheesing like this.
From the funky, difficult bass line, to the effects-laden guitars, to the tight rhythm section, this song delivers. It was a game changer in 1978 and it sounds timeless even now. I'm Gonna Love You is a cover of a Buddy Holly song. It's a very short track that shows the band's rooted influences.
I don't care what you told me, you're gonna say it. Hold me and you're gonna say it. Love me, 'cause I'm gonna love you too.
It fits like a glove with a lot of the 50s-esque melodies and rhythms, but it's reimagined in a 1970s light. It's a fun blast of a song that passes you as soon as it arrives. Just Go Away ends the album by basically telling the listener to fuck off. It must have been written about someone that really pissed Debbie Harry off, as the male members of the band scream with Harry,
Don't go way back, don't go creep back, don't go be back, don't go way back, just go away.
The song closes the album on a humorous note. Parallel Lines is a legendary album that deserves every bit of hype that it's gotten. The musicianship is fantastic, Harry's vocal delivery is jaw-dropping, and it's just a really fun time. It also paved the way for new wave as a serious genre. Opening the door for it is a dominant sound of the 80s. It was a breath of fresh air during the death of both the disco and progressive rock. If you haven't given this thing a listen, or even if you just want to hear the origin of a lot of 1980s music, give this thing a listen. You won't regret it. That about does it for this episode. Join me next time when I talk about one of my favorite country artists of all time. If you like what you saw here, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Also be sure to click that little bell so that way you'll be updated every time I post a new video. And if you want to hear more of my commentary about music, please be sure to check out more episodes of Adventures in Vinyland. And if Lost Media is more your style, please also check out the Lost Media Chronicles. As always, thanks for watching.